We start with a log,
Yeah.
and then we make that into a board, and then we get that down to sizes of things we can use. So we can start right here with this mill and start with a log and start building or making the lumber that we need from that.
Log.
Those are the diesel generators.
Oh, these are?
Yeah. So those will be our backup generators that go in the ship, but if we do it right, we won't have to run those things. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So you're working on the oakum to caulk the seams.
Smoke 'em. Don't smoke 'em.
All right, so when we assemble the ship,
May I take your picture?
yeah. When we assemble the ship, we put the boards together as close as we can, but it still leaves gaps. And we have to caulk those gaps with something. And what this lady's doing here is preparing the oakum, which is the material that gets stuffed into the gaps to caulk the ship up. And she's braiding that together and makes a long rope of it, and then we pound it into the cracks and caulk it up in that way.
And is there any resin in it, or it's just the?
There's something in it, and then once we get it stuffed in there, we're going to probably fill the seams with what, 5200?
There was two different compounds they're looking at.
Yeah.
Stuck on the side
Some
of the
fancy
and
adhesive
do they
stuff.
use nails?
Nails? No.
Okay,
We
it's
use
like-
bronze lag screws,
Oh, you
which
do
is
use
a giant
so.
screw with a hex head. And then what we do is you can see all the little holes. So we will drill a hole, put in a lag screw, and it's countersunk, so the lag screw is way embedded in there. And then we take a plug made of the same wood, and we use some epoxy, and we cover up the head to that screw. So everywhere you see a little round plug, there's
Oh,
a
there's
fastener.
a screw entire, then it's covered.
Right. And another thing we've done is when we have knots or bad spots or weaknesses in the wood, we drill them out and put in a plug like that to make that repair. So the frames, the ribs of the ship were laminated out of thin pieces of wood. And those, see the crazy looking curved patterns up on the wall? We made them to that. And those are full-size patterns of the frames. In the old days, they would give you that pattern and say, go out in the woods and find a tree that has a limb that has this shape. We take those, we put them on the floor, trace them, then we put a bunch of brackets that are bolted to the floor. Then we take thin pieces of wood, coat them with epoxy, squash them together and clamp them to the brackets, and then you can have a frame that has the perfect curve for what you need to do. This is an offcut of one of our frames, and you can see
Very thin.
the very, very thin pieces of wood. And you can bend the thin pieces when you're attaching them together. If they're thick pieces, they don't bend very well. So when we have a really curvy frame, and some of these have an S-curve, they have a return, we have to go with really thin pieces. On the frames forward, we can use thicker pieces because they don't bend very much. They're much straighter. Alan, will you have work for us in a little bit?
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
We have 3 different areas to work in.
These ladies are engineers, computer engineers. We have a naval architect here.
Hi.
You are, huh?
Oh, yeah.
We have
How did you become a naval architect? That's great that you're doing that. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Most women don't go into naval architect.
Yeah, I know. I was the only one in my class.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing here. Well, wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So if there's any more technical stuff or drawings you would like to look at, ask me. I'll show you some special
Yeah,
stuff.
yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So I'll take all the time. We can talk naval architecture. Not that I'm a naval architect.
Yeah, he is. He's built a lot of boats. He knows what he's doing.
So there's STEM women, you know, technical women,
Uh-huh.
engineers.
Well, I can see they're all smart.
Oh, you're a smart man.
Yeah.
Can you repeat
Good idea for
what
good
is
reason.
this? I did not understand about this.
Okay. To make a frame, to make a rib for the ship,
Okay.
we're going to bend it, right? To be able to bend it, we take these pieces, these were each 22 feet long. And then you glue them together with this epoxy and you clamp them together into one solid piece. And when it dries in the morning, you have a curved rib that takes whatever shape you want, but it's strong because of these individual pieces. Okay? So I'm gonna leave that here. Now, let me show you some of the upgrades that we have in the ship. In here we have, see where the lead field says 86,000 pounds? Yeah. All right, that is external lead ballast. And the ideal place to put it on a ship is right where it is, in the very bottom of the keel.
May I touch it?
Yes, stay away from this gentleman. He's got a tool, but it's just lead. It's soft, and it's just made out of lead. Okay, come here. I have something to tell you about this. So, this is two great big pieces of lead, and they're through bolted to the keel. They have a nut and a bolt on both ends. In the old days, if you had this ship and you didn't have that external ballast, they would ballast their ships with rocks. So there's a place by San Diego which is called Ballast Point. So the skipper would get the ship underway, load the cargo, they'd sail out, and he'd go, So he'd say, all right, we're going to pull over at Ballast Point, get your shovels, get your buckets, get the boats, and bring me rocks to put in the bottom of the ship until I feel that it's good.
So it makes it more stable.
Right. So they would go and they would shovel rocks and bring them out in the boats and dump them in, and they'd sit in the bottom of the bilge. And finally the captain would go, okay, that feels good. I think we've got it leveled out about right. Let's go. And then they'd get underway. So we have external ballast. We have the laminated frames, which are stronger than the sawn frames that they would have made from just trees. And then where the frames go together at the bottom, where they link up, this part down here that links them would be called a floor. In the old days, it was made of wood, so it was soft, and when it got wet, it would start to rot. Ours are made of silicon bronze. So what we would do is we would take two frames, pair them together, put the floor on it, and then pick the whole thing up with a forklift and stand it on the keel. So when you see the frames, we put them together in pairs, just one after another, until we got the whole ship frame. And then you start the plank. So let's go up on deck, and we'll even go below deck. Oh, here's the framing plan. All right, there's a top view, side view, there's the lead ballast, and that's the framing plan. This ship will be built as a brigantine. That means the forward mast is square rigged and the main mast is fore and aft rigged with the triangular sails that are attached along the leading edge. And the foremast is square rigged, and you have to move the yards around. It has big square sails.
So it can carry how many people?
We can sleep 30. It takes a crew of 8. When we go out during the day, we might be able to get 60 to 80 people on deck in terms of school kids. So it gives us a big, big platform to have our classes in. All right, now let's just take a look here before we go up.
I love wood. Can we touch touch it?
Yes. Unless you see somebody working with epoxy and then you don't want to touch it or it to touch you. Here we have fabricated some of the yards that hold the square rig sails. The big one that has square edges on the outside is the bowsprit that extends the ship so we can put up a couple more jibs. What we're doing here, this lamination here will be a section of the main mast. So every day we put on another layer, and we use here what we call a scarf joint. You could see if you took two boards and joined them together and glued them at the end, it would break. So what you do is you cut a very shallow angle on it, and now they overlap a lot. And that distributes the pressure and it has everything hold together. The Coast Guard considers a scarf joint every bit as strong as a solid piece of wood. The ratio is 1 to 12. 1:12. So you have two very sharp angles, and when you scarf it together and glue it, it's very, very strong. Strong as a solid piece of wood. So the Coast Guard likes that. Let's go up on deck, show you around up there. This is the jig we use for carving the scarves. That's what these things are. So we put a big board in here and we use a router and we shape it, and that makes the shallow angle that gives us the scarf joint. Come on up, please do watch your step. It is a construction zone, so watch where you step. Hey Jess. I'm good.
Yeah, I know. He said, I've got to,
Please watch your step. I know you want to take pictures, but if you fall and hurt yourself, I'm going to be angry. Yeah, if anybody has to go up there and do that kangaroo thing, let's please get that over quickly. I'm getting real tired of that one.
We can wait.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, now those of you that are using your cell phones for photography, please be careful because the danger is at your feet with all the stuff that's around you.
She wants you in. She wants you.
Thank you.
Okay, now this gentleman here is Jesse. He's one of our favorite workers and volunteers, and unfortunately Jesse's big brother couldn't join him today, so we just have the little brother, and he's done a lot of this work and learned a lot of stuff about shipbuilding. It's really nice.
yeah, I know all the lumber for this ship.
He runs that mill. So this is going to be a hatchway, and this will go to the crew's quarters. There'll be 8 people, sailors who run the thing, and they traditionally live in the forepeak in the bow of the ship. So there are going to be 8 people down there. Now let's go down this side here. Again, watch your step. How you doing? If you want to tag along with the tour, feel free. I'm doing my little spiel. So here are some designs. That's a plan view of the ship. And then this is the side view an elevation, right? This is the side view. A what? Profile. Okay. So that's the plan, that's the profile. We have 2 deck houses, and where we have a deck house, we kind of have a 2-story affair. This deck house will house the galley, which is the kitchen where we're going to prepare all the food to feed the sailors. And directly below it is the head, which is the bathrooms. It'll have the showers, the toilets, the sinks for washing up. That way our plumbing is stacked on top of each other. So this second deck house is the chart house. The lower story of this one will house the engines. You can see they're building the framing for that, and it'll have some tanks in it, water tanks and fuel tanks. And there's another steel bulkhead. And then, well, the upper part of it is the chart house, and that's where the charts, the instruments, the radios, it's the main office of the ship. It's the bridge and the command center for the ship. And the captain's quarters and the first mate's quarters will be on the side, so they are going to be readily available if something happens and you got to talk to the captain right away. So this is the second deck house. Oh, here, I wanted to point out to you, these are the laminated frames. See how they have layers and layers? They're all epoxied together. So that makes it much stronger than sawn frames in the old traditional way.
See this? Oh my gosh.
So that's how we laminated the frames. Let's see. Let's go around here and go down the side. Do watch your step. There's unevenness. There's holes. You want to hit that hole. Quiet. This would be a good time for questions. Do people have questions at this time? Yes. Well, let me show you some pictures. So, there. See that picture there? So that is the 82-foot schooner Seaward, which we have, and it's already built. You'll see it today. There it is sailing underneath the Golden Gate Bridge.
So we are going to be able to see that today?
I don't know if the dock is open or not. I mean, you'll be able to see it from afar. I don't know if you can get, we won't have a tour of it, but you might be able to get out on the dock and see it.
But it's smaller than this one.
That one is the Galilee that the Matthew Turner, the ship you're standing on, is based on. And
the designer of the ship?
yes, we named it after him because he was so good and so famous that we thought it was appropriate to honor him. Okay, now before you go down there,
One hand for the ship.
what?
One hand for the ship.
One hand for the ship and one for yourself. Before you go down here, what I want to tell you is these are not stairs, these are ladders. When you go up and down, because they're so steep, you know, a stair might be like that, the ladder's like this. So when you go up and down a ladder, you want to be facing the ladder. So I'm going to have to ask you to go backwards down this one and also this one. But come on down into the galley, which is our kitchen.
How many volunteers work here or have been working in this?
On a daily basis, we probably have 10 or 15 guys, but they're different every day because we probably have 150 or 200 guys on the roster. Now, some of them are no longer active, you know, they might have moved away or something.
Necessarily need to have a background on
Any
knowledge.
requirements for being a
No. If you could let them come downstairs into the galley, be facing the ladder, that's right. So we have a different group every day because these guys seem to plan most of them are retired guys. And they say, okay, Monday I'm with the family, Tuesday I work at the ship, Wednesday I play golf and drink beer with my friends, and Friday I work around the house. So they plan things on a daily basis. So we have 15 or 20 guys on a daily basis, not so many on Saturday, but different volunteers every day. Yes?
No, and all of the volunteers are committed to come every now and then.
We don't demand a commitment from them. The one thing that we do hate is people that show up and they hang around for a half hour. So we spend a half hour teaching you, here's how you do this, here's how you do that, and then the guy says, see ya, I'm leaving. And now we have to start all over again. So we hate that. We ask people to stay for a day. Then we can teach them a task, get them going, and then they'll work the rest of the day and it'll be productive. So that's the only thing we say is, you know, if you're going to show up, spend a day with us. Don't spend an hour. It's not worth our time to teach you something and then have you say, see you later.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes?
So the craftsmanship on this boat is just amazing.
Yup.
Have you estimated what it would cost to build if?
Well, this thing will cost about $6.5 million to put together.
With all the volunteer hours?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Even with the volunteer hours, it's
Yes,
still
ma'am.
Costing 6.5.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
What, three times more? Or was
It's hard to know because nobody builds these.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
builds
Just you can tell every detail of it is just done.
Oh, these guys are good,
Yeah.
and you do learn a lot of stuff. All right, here's another. Yes.
It would be cheaper if you buy one
Yes.
ready one.
Yes.
So, but this is for fun or?
It's for fun. It's to build something that hasn't been done before, like the regenerative power. We get to choose the design of the ship, and we chose Matthew Turner and the Galilee, and it's fun.
Yes.
I mean, you know, this is a lifetime experience. I mean, these guys are now shipbuilders. Who can say that? I build a wooden ship. You'll be able to say
We
that.
are involved too.
All right, now we're going to go down another ladder.
Yeah.
Okay, this is,
Groove.
huh?
All that tongue groove overhead ceiling?
We'll show them that.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay. So this is the galley. So imagine cooking for 38 people in this space.
On 60 to 70 total 3 times.
60 could be on the ship, but
Yeah.
and plus there's 8 crew. 30 people can sleep, 60, 80 people come on the ship, and there's 8 crew.
All right, let's get everybody down here, please. Yep, those are the laminated frames.
Oh, it's cold out here.
We like that. Yep, it gets pretty warm during the day.
The smell of the wood.
Yeah, I want to show you that.
Where are you gonna put your video?
Facebook.
Ah, wow.
Facing the ladder, please. I don't want anybody to fall. Thank you. Okay, if you want to step over here, I'll show you how you would live on this ship. If you're a sailor on this ship, you'll get a berth. And this whole room will have berths down both sides. And they are bunk berths. There are 2 of them. And these are called lee boards, and gives you a way to climb in and climb out. But if the ship leans over, if it heels over, because of this part of the lee board, you won't fall out of bed. There will generally be a curtain, so you can sleep, you can have privacy if you want to read. There will generally be a little reading light So, you know, you can read, write letters, do whatever you need. And then beneath these 2 bunks will be 2 drawers. And that is where you keep your stuff. So as a sailor on this ship, you get 1 bunk and 1 drawer, and they're arranged kind of like that. And they would be all down the sides of this space. And then there'll be 8 of them ahead of the bulkhead. And that's the crew's quarters, and that's their own little world. And generally the guests are forbidden to go in there. I mean, you all know what's going on in there. That's their world. But here we have, these are the steel automatic bulkhead doors. So let's say the ship hit something and opened up a hole and started to fill with water. There's sensors down there, and then the doors close, clunk. And then that keeps the ship from sinking. And then we have little cranks by each door, so you could then open the door. Let's say the electricity went out, and you got the situation repaired, and you needed to open the door. They're little cranks.
I noticed that it's cold here rather than upstairs. Is there some reason for that?
It's just that this is the overnight air that's, I mean, you know, it doesn't circulate out. So this,
Something that you manage.
no, this is not a design thing. It's just the fact that you're sort of in a container, and the air that is in here has been in here since last night. It's nice and cool. If you go up on deck and wait till the afternoon, the warm air collects in the top of the tent, and the tent itself is heated by the sun. So on deck can be very hot, down here very cool. Here's where one of the masts comes through. Okay, be careful. If one of you falls and breaks a leg, you're going to get 3 demerits. All right, so this is going to be the engine room, and then above it, of course, is the chart house and the captain's quarters.
Is it ready to stay in the water for days?
Oh, forever, once it goes in, yeah.
It can go for a longer trip.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We'll go up this ladder here and get back on deck.
It's not only for kids.
They can see everything around the world. This is not just a showboat. This is a real boat, real ship. To keep this tradition alive, right? I would say so. Yeah. It's like. He said it's $6 million. Do it this way.
Well, we have a naval architect, we have a handful of very skilled shipbuilders, but there's so much work to do that a lot of it is low tech, it's repetitive. So we can teach you something, and then it's like, okay, the ship is 100 feet long, start at that end, then go to that end, and then down the other side. So we have a lot of